You ever meet someone so entitled that they think they can just take from you and never face the consequences? I bought a house, my dream home, and I found out my next-door neighbor had been stealing my water for years, literally tapping into my supply. So I didn't scream. I didn't confront him. I just turned a single valve. By the end of that week, he'd lost his power, his tenants, his money, and his home. If you've ever wanted to serve justice to someone who thought they could walk all over you, hit that like button. Subscribe if you believe karma always comes full circle, because this one flows beautifully. I live in Asia, in one of those capital cities that's always buzzing, the kind where space is tight, property prices are insane, and every square foot feels like gold. When I bought my new house, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. The previous owners were family friends who'd moved abroad 3 years ago and needed cash fast. So they sold it cheap, right in the middle of the city. It wasn't perfect, though. The place was a fixer-upper, half renovated, bare walls, exposed wiring, and the front door was locked with just a padlock, not even a proper bolt. The gate was missing completely, which meant anyone could just stroll into property like it was public space. My very first day there, I walk into garage, and there it is, a random motorbike. Not mine, just sitting there like it belonged. So I pushed it out to the road, installed a gate that very day, and locked it up tight. Later that evening, bang, bang, bang. Someone starts pounding on my gate. Through the window, I see this angry man pacing around, red-faced, fists clenched. He stood there for 15 minutes before finally giving up, unlocking the bike, and riding off. I didn't open the door. I just watched, quietly. But something about him stuck with me. The way he glared at the house, like he owned the place. That was my introduction to my neighbor. He lived right next door in a 3-story house. The ground floor was his, and the other 2 were rented out to tenants. My family friends, the old owners, had warned me about him. Apparently, he wasn't happy the house was being sold. He complained to them constantly before they left. The new owners will ruin the neighborhood, he'd said. So when I moved in, I wasn't exactly surprised when he didn't say hello. Still, I kept my distance. Until the day everything changed. It was a warm evening last week. I was in the shower when I noticed something odd. The water pressure dropped, not slightly. It plummeted. And then I heard it. That distinct humming sound, the one every homeowner here recognizes. A water pump. Only it wasn't my pump. It was his. Now, in my country, houses use electric pumps to push water up into roof tanks because public water pressure isn't strong enough. So, when your pump's running, it's filling your tank. But mine was running dry. And that's when the dots started connecting. I'd heard from the previous owners that the water bills for this property were always suspiciously high, even though no one had lived here for years. They assumed leaks. But what if it wasn't leaks at all? When his pump turned off, I checked my taps again, and the pressure was back to normal. I tried it a few times that week. Every time his pump went on, my pressure tanked. That's when I knew. Somewhere, maybe buried underground, maybe hidden near the wall, this old miser had connected my supply line to his. For 3 whole years, while the house sat empty, he'd been helping himself to my water. It wasn't about the money. My monthly bill barely touched $5, even with washing 3 dogs, watering my garden, and cleaning my car every weekend. But it was the principle. He'd invaded my property, used my resources, and worse, he'd been smug about it, probably thinking no one would ever notice. I tried to calm myself down. I thought maybe I should confront him or call the city water department, maybe even file a police complaint. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that would be too easy for him. He'd just deny it, call me crazy, and quietly fix a connection. No, I wanted him to feel it. So I waited, watched, listened. Monday came around. I heard the familiar click of his pump turning on, and that's when I did it. I walked outside, leaned down by my meter, and twisted the main water valve. Click, just like that. No water would flow into his stolen line. Here's the thing about these systems. They work automatically. His pump would stay on until the float valve in his roof tank detected that it was full. But if no water comes in, that pump keeps running. nonstop. He'd built his house back in the 90s with old wiring and ancient fuses. Those systems can't handle a motor running dry for hours. So I just went about my evening, fed my dogs, made dinner, went to bed. At around 3 a.m., I woke up to voices, shouting. I peeked out the window. His tenants were outside, waving flashlights, talking loudly. I could hear frustration in every word. The power's out. Why is there no water? They were furious. Every other house on the street had lights glowing softly in the night, except his. His whole place was dark, silent, except for the faint hum of a burnt motor trying to survive. By morning, word had spread. The landlord, my dear neighbor, was in deep trouble. His pump had overheated, short-circuited his wiring, and knocked out his electricity completely. Worse, his tenants were furious. In my country, power and water are essential services. If a landlord can't provide them, the law sides with the tenants. Instantly, they can file a complaint and the police have authority to issue fines on the spot. And that's exactly what happened. By Tuesday, both tenants had lodged official complaints. The authorities slapped him with a fine of $500, a huge amount here. They also required him to refund both tenant security deposits since they were breaking their leases. By Wednesday, one of the tenants moved out completely. The other followed 2 days later. He lost his entire income stream overnight. By the weekend, I saw him standing outside, looking exhausted, the weight of the world on his shoulders. His once lively house now silent and empty. That afternoon, he walked up to my gate. Knocked, not angrily this time, but quietly. I stepped out. He asked, "Did you turn off your water?" His tone was cautious, almost trembling. I shrugged. Yeah, my plumber found a leak in my pipe, so I shut off until the next day. He just stared at me. No words, no accusations. Just that frozen, hollow look a man realized his greed had caught up with him. He nodded slowly. "Oh, okay," he said and walked back home. That was the last conversation we ever had. Now, here's where karma really did its magic. Since the fire inspector deemed his wiring unsafe, he couldn't rent the place out again until it was repaired and certified. But repairs like that? Costly. And with no income from tenants, he couldn't afford it. I heard from another neighbor that he finally decided to move in with his daughter outside the city because he simply couldn't keep up anymore. The irony? All that suffering, all that chaos, caused by one little twist of a valve. The whole thing still makes me smile. Not because I ruined him, but because of how poetic it was. For 3 years, he stole from a house that wasn't even his. He thought no one would ever notice, that he could keep taking forever. But the universe, or maybe just a very annoyed new homeowner, had other plans. He thought he was untouchable. Instead, he burned himself out, literally. This wasn't about revenge for revenge's sake. It was about fairness, respect. When someone decides they're entitled to your resources, your space, or your peace, and you finally stand up for yourself, that's not cruelty. That's balance. And the best kind of justice? The one that looks effortless. All I had to do was flick a switch, walk away, and let karma do the rest. Picture it. His tenants shouting in the street, the pump whining in the background, the smell of burnt wiring filling the air. The man who thought he could cheat the system finally watching it collapse right around him. And me, sitting in my kitchen, sipping coffee, knowing I hadn't broken a single law, just physics. The next morning, the city's repair truck pulled up in front of his house. The officers took photos. The tenants packed. The look on his face when the fines hit him, that was the moment I knew justice had been served. Sometimes karma doesn't need a big show. It just needs patience and a little quiet creativity. He lost everything because he couldn't stop taking what wasn't his. And I learned the sweetest revenge doesn't come from rage. It comes from calm, from control, from knowing you won without even lifting a finger. If this story gave you chills or made you smile, hit that like button right now. Tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen someone pull off? And of course, subscribe for more stories where justice flows exactly where it's deserved. Because sometimes Karma just needs a twist of a valve.